Test. Well, it's been a fucking hot minute, hasn't it? Okay, yeah, so ended up having a break, which intended to be a week and ended up being 2 months. This seems to happen at least once per project. But yeah, gonna be obviously getting back into streaming with this guy. I've worked on it a little bit off stream, primarily just working on the eyes, like getting that set up a bit more finalized. I can walk through some of the stuff I've done before we get properly into this. Quick word of caution, I did get COVID like a week and a half ago, and so I do still occasionally cough. At this point, like I've felt fine for days, but you know I will cough from time to time, so I'll try to mute ahead of time. But yeah, so we're gonna be working on this boy. This is the latest render that we have, so I'll just open this. Come on, there we go. But yeah, so primarily worked on the eyes. We have pushed the eye texturing, like there is actually texturing for the eyes now with the volume rendering. I have worked on it a little bit off stream since this render as well, so this has some off stream work, and then since then I've done even more. Differences from this render, I've sculpted on the ears a little bit more, which we'll be continuing to do, changed the eye bag shape slightly, made the eyelids thinner, and I've removed some of the blackheads from the cheeks. So overall, it's all been kind of like dialed back a little bit. But yeah, the eyes. Sorry about that. But yeah, so the eyes, I've got a bit of a camera setup going. So on stream, I think we tried to do a position reference, which didn't work for volumes, for what should have been obvious reasons to me, but I didn't think of it. So what I've taken to doing instead is placing cameras in the actual eye setup, and then I can use these in the shader for projection. So these are identical cameras that are literally just parented to the eye, so that as I move the eye, this will always match the iris, which means I can just paint one map and it will apply to both. Beyond that, the eye setup didn't fundamentally change. I've worked on, obviously, the textures, but beyond that, the only thing that's actually changed is the meniscus, which is now a little bit more advanced. It's still got a thickness, which I am considering moving, but it now kind of closely matches the actual eye shape. Kind of matches to it a little bit longer anyway. Doesn't work quite here, but I'm not going to finalize that stuff until we've got like actual final positions of stuff. But yeah, so beyond that, life updates. I've left NPC because last time I streamed I wasn't even thinking of leaving. I left just over a week ago, handed in notice like 6 weeks ago, and yeah, just decided it's time to move on. I am starting a new job next week with Digital Domain as a senior lit dev artist, which I'm really excited to do. They got the visa through a few days ago, I just need to finalize some stuff. Thank you, man. I very much appreciate that. But yes, I'll be starting a new job next week, still in Montreal. Still doing my thing out here, which I'm really enjoying. But yeah, so anyway, let's get into ZBrush and start pushing things a bit further. I'm going to work... Oh, excuse me again. I'm going to work primarily on the sculpting of the face, just because I want to kind of push the volumes in a bit of a better direction. It won't take long though, because I want to spend the bulk of this stream working on the cloth rendering. I want to start getting like a block out for the volume thing that I've been thinking of doing for a while. So yeah, we'll be working on that primarily. But anyway, let's get working on this guy. So I'm gonna get the sculpts up. I need to focus primarily on the ears, I think, because they're quite weak. So let's look at some ear references. In fact, what do we see in the actual head refs? At some point as well, we'll be having to work on the groom a bit more. Alright, so we don't have this shape. We're missing that. Crease goes up there. Okay, so we'll focus on the scans, 3D scan sort of stuff. Really like the forms of these. We'll use this guys though. I think they're the most appealing for what I'm doing. Right, so let's get that. Let's hide the hair. Let's get this a little bit more compact. Cool. There's the pen. So some of these forms we want to keep because they are actually in the reference. We just want to get a bit more of a rich kind of shape to them. Make them feel a bit more fleshy than they currently do. Because currently they're feeling a bit false. Brush. Where's modifiers? Let's add a little bit of volume here. Get a bit more of an unevenness to the shapes, just to break it up a little bit. We're primarily doing this to like break up the lights. There we go. Okay. Let's focus around the eyes again. Okay, so the crease that we've got next to the eyes is kind of a made-up form, isn't it? Hey Sol, how's it going, man? Hey, Thomas. So let's Hey, Cozy. How's it going, man? Cool stuff, Mike. Glad you're moving to DD. Yeah, I'm quite excited for it. I think after 4 years on and off of NPC, I was ready to try another VFX studio. Excited to see what they do over there. Okay, so that crease seems to go further down. More like that. Oh, you're going to Canada soon as well. Nice. Which part? Hey, Kiriato. How's it going, man? Sorry, I have to keep muting to cough. Still not feeling too great. I'll be fine, but yeah. I was intending on streaming like 8 hours a day for the last week because I was going to be off all last week and then start DD today. But then because of COVID, obviously I couldn't go to the visa offers, so I've kind of had to wait it out. But I was intending on doing quite a lot of streaming to kind of get back into it. Something funky going on with the forms in there. Just fix that up. Oh, you're on Vancouver. Nice. Vancouver's on my bucket list at some point. There we go. At some point I need to revisit the topology of the inside of the nostril. Well, it's got lines roughly where I need them, but you're not doing what I need them to. That nose shape's there a bit weird. There we go. I think that will do as a second pass. Although I do still need to keep working on the ears a little bit. I still need to get that forehead crease in there. Subtle spec break. Good to see you back. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Still something off. So this bit right here is really bothering me. It needs to be chunkier. Feels better for him. Okay. Lips. Let's try to get the lips back in a little bit. We have lost them somewhere along the way. Feels better. How long have you been working on this guy? In terms of like since I started it, or actual hours invested into it? Because there's been a lot of really large breaks. In terms of like actual time spent, I think, well, there's a playlist of all the videos in this. There are like checkers you can find online of like, oh, the total length of a playlist. Usually add about 10%, 20% on top of that, whatever the length that is, because I'm working it off stream a little bit. I keep a vast majority of my work on stream though. Like the last 2 months I've barely touched this fucking thing. Just a little bit of like R&D here or there. Hey Avishek, how's it going? In terms of like days since I started it, I think I started it in like March, stuff like that. But I'm not entirely sure. It's looking funky. That'll do. Right, so let's get to the lowest poly count. Get that exported. Export you. Cool. Back to the highest poly, and we'll start baking a new disp. So Z plugin. Come on. Multimap exporter. In fact, I need to save first. 2 months, that's a long time. Yeah, 2 month break. I've just been like, I mean, starting 2 months ago, I was on a project that was like, I'm sort of thinking of wording so I don't break any NDAs. I was on a very, very difficult project. I'm not going to go into reasons because the reasons are NDA break. But yeah, it was an awfully difficult project. I was some of the most stressed I've been in my life, at least with work. So I just wanted to kind of get away from doing any personal work. And then once that project was done, I ended up with having to set up some training material. They didn't really want what I wanted in terms of out of the program, so I handed in my notice because I've got quite a lot of reasons to have left, to be honest. Let's just save texturing, publish, zdisp. Okay, and while that's going in the background, let's get this guy off screen for a moment. Hide the grooms. Select you. Go to rendering. Textures. What is I'm looking for right now? Texturing. Create texture reference object. Okay. File. Import. Okay, a few volume changes here or there. So then we grab U, blend shape to U. Deform, blend shape. Okay, opposite way around. Deform, blend shape. And we're gonna hide this guy. Hide him too. Okay. That works. Hope you've learned new things to share. I've learned nothing off of my last 2 months, other than like research I've done on my own time. But yeah, I'm currently working on an eye tutorial, which is taking much longer than I wanted it to because I had COVID for the last week and a half. But beyond that, I've learned a few little tricks. Nothing too major, nothing too important. Okay, so they're matching up. Okay, save our scene. ZBrush is still calculating, so we'll let it do its thing for a bit. Okay. So let's start exporting the grooms so they match the new geometry. Mainly the beard, I think, is going to be affected by the changes we made. So let's get the beard exported. Yeti, export groom from selected Yeti node. For the beard. Okay, so we do just have to wait for ZBrush to kind of do its thing so it can convert the new ZDisp rep. Still going. The problem is there's a lot of UDIMs on this guy, so it takes a while to calculate. Right, okay, let's start figuring out the clothing. So one of the things I want to do is render the cloth as a volume, so I can do some like weird painter effects in 3D rather than in post. So I think that's what we'll spend the bulk of today on. It's more of an R&D stream, so do not expect pretty renders out of today. We are going to kind of have to struggle with it a little bit, but we'll see how it goes. So let's get all this stuff moved up. Okay. Okay, and we're going to take that. Trying to think like how I order things. There we go. So this one's going to be coat. One thing we may have to do though is kind of branch this out, because to get the effect that we want, let me talk through. So basically, the painting itself, obviously, like there's a lot of detail around the face, but the painting itself is actually most of the same detail around the entire image, minus like the eyes and the nose, right? It's more detailed, but but what I want to recreate is this effect. So, you know, where paint gets stretched out. I don't want it around the face, but I want things like the body to have like a different appearance to them. So as you get away from the face in the render, it becomes physically less detailed. Because one of the things that I want is I want to remove detail away from the face. So as you get away from the face, anyway. But the problem is with CG is if you just remove detail, it looks really fake. And the reason for that, at least in my opinion, is because no matter how much detail you remove, the silhouette of a polygon is always 100% sharp. So if you want to remove the perception of detail, you also need to remove the perception of sharpness, which you can't do conventionally with polygons. You can displace it and add all sorts of crazy opacity effects, but in my opinion it's never going to quite work. Whereas volume rendering in Arnold is really powerful, and you can displace it and do all sorts of weird effects with that. So that could be quite a good way to remove detail from the silhouette. That does mean, however, that we need the cloth to render as a polygon here and as a volume down here. The idea that I've got is to duplicate the coat mesh, render one as a realistic piece of clothing, which has an opacity ramp. So as you get to about here, it's like barely visible, and like by here it's invisible. And at this point, you've just got an incredibly dense volume. And then as you go down from there, that volume starts to get displaced. So you go from detailed, you know, you see your cloth, you see your actual weave, like fabric weave, and some nice shading, maybe some fibers on top of it. And as you go down, you're just going to slowly blend, because it's an opacity ramp to a volume. You're going to slowly remove that detail. Silhouette will be a little bit funky looking, so I need to figure out how to fix that. Possibly some facing ratio stuff. And then once we're down to a dense volume with no displacement, it's going to vaguely look like the coat, just by the volumes. And then it will get displaced to remove even more detail. That is going to give me the problem of revealing the shirt beneath and possibly the tie. But we'll tackle that when we get to it. If we have to do that for multiple things, then so be it. In terms of placing that ramp, now we can't really do UVs. I mean, we could with UV sets, but you can't apply UVs to volumes in that way directly, at least with Arnold, like when you're creating the volume with Arnold. So I'll probably end up either doing some kind of camera projection from the render cam and just paint a ramp, or do world space. So like, you know, at 10 in the Y and down, it's like a black map, and that will be used to drive whatever. So that's the idea. We've got quite a lot to figure out to achieve that though. So yeah, let's. Right, that's exported. Right, so let's get that saved out. ZBrush, save. We have to convert the ZDisp in Maya. So let's go to Arnold. Where is it? Scenic spot now. Utilities. TX Manager. Sort by name. Looking for ZDisp. Do I not convert it in here? Okay, let's go to Hypershade. Okay. There it is there. Oh, because it's body. Yep, okay. That's the one, I think. Yep, okay. So remove TX for selected, and then start generating a new one. Okay, so this is going to be a fucking nightmare. I'm going to have to prune out like most of the scene to get it rendering quick. So let's do that. Let's create a prune. Create a prune here. Okay. Scene graph. Let that load for a moment. Once this is loaded, we'll prune everything that we don't need, which is basically everything off in the code, which actually this isolate would be better for. But once we've done that, we need to close this, clear the cache, and then re-export the Alembic, because we have adjusted the actual face geo. So let's grab these guys, prune those out. Okay, util, flush caches. Let's grab this guy. Cache. Alembic, export selection to Alembic. Modeling, publish. And at some point we'll have to continue sculpting the code. Okay, so we don't have much thickness, and that's something I do have to think about, is how do we handle thickness? Do we do something that's like realistic thickness, or do we avoid realism in the thickness? I'm not entirely sure yet. So that should be working now though. So we're just going to go into the clothing mats. Code. I'm just going to create a volume. Okay. Let's check out the naming. Yep, so that's going to work. This could take a while. So I'm not sure how heavy it is to render the entire coat as a volume, like in terms of the conversion time. It looks like it's not too bad. Okay, so it looks like it's working because we're seeing this bit. It's gonna be really heavy, isn't it? Okay. Let's get into material. Let's grab that base color. By using sheen on the fabric. The fabric will be using sheen, but obviously right now it's not got it. Okay, so let's ballpark this. Because obviously facing ratio is not going to work. Volume. So density's going to have to go up a lot. Let's go 0.05. We need to go a little bit higher than that. And density, let's set that to 50. We'll have to tint this slightly towards blue as well, but okay. Oh yeah, because to get a surface we'll need it to bounce back mostly, aren't we? So anisotropy. Let's go 0.5. Well, let's go 0.18 actually. Wondering how dense I have to take it before we can actually start seeing stuff. May need to do a test camera as well. Viewer. Let's get on the test cam. Graph. Something like that. Turn off things like depth field. So some of this stuff will disappear once we merge it into one object. Because currently this is two volumes overlapping. I'm going to let this clear out for a moment. Or clear up, I should say. Let me just check. Arnold standard volume. Let's see what anisotropy is going to do. Or which way around it should go. Oh yeah, volume padding. I need to look into that as well. Once I start displacing it. Scatter weight 1 is default. Okay, so okay, so negative values go back towards light, which is what we want in this case. So that it has the effect of actually reflecting, or it looks somewhat like it's reflecting. So let's do that. So scatter anisotropy, let's go minus 0.5. And we won't change anything else, we'll just see how that renders. We may want to keep the bias a little bit more subtle, actually. We're losing definition with that, so maybe, yeah, let's keep it a default for now. Also going to give it that slight blue tint now, may as well. Okay, and once that's working, we can start playing about with displacements. Blue tint might be a bit strong. Let's remove. We'll just drag that up there. Yes, this black line I'm pretty sure is intersection. Let's give it a moment to do its thing. I think the blue tint is a bit too strong. In fact, this is more of a purple actually. But we'll let it clean up, see what it looks like once it's clean. And then obviously at some point we need to fix the actual shape of it. One thing we will have to do as well is like simplify the volume settings, because currently this is using the same volume settings as the iris, which is obviously way smaller, so this is going to be more detailed than it has to be. Which means when we start displacing it, we're going to get all sorts of chaos happening. We do need to increase the padding as well, which massively increases render time. So for now, what's the name of it? Is it state? I'm trying to remember what the sampler is. Volume sample float. What? There's a way to get things like world position and onward. Let me just give it a quick search. It's utility nodes, isn't it? I may need to go into Maya to look through the list of nodes. So, it's utility. Okay, so it's not that one, is it? Nope. God, what was the name of the node? We'll find it. We'll figure it out. Okay, so let's try. There's a volume displacement. So we need a range node, so I can make sure this is positive and negative. I'll put min -1. Okay, and then we want to plug in a. Let's go over Wally. Oh, this isn't render man, of course. It's cell noise we want. Okay. And we just have to render that as is to see what it does. It's going to be too strong, we know that much. And also the distance for our sampling in the volume is going to be a bit too low as well. Volume padding, that's what I was looking for. has moved. How does it clean up? Okay, let's Arnold P attribute. It has to be a way to use position. So all I need is the Y position. Like I can generate a ramp really easily. In fact, can we just use a ramp? Ramp float. Does ramp color have different? Implicit UVs. What do they do for volume? It's picking up the silhouette in quite an interesting way. Now, it may be too dense, so what we may find as well is as we travel away, from the face, we need to also lower the density. Okay, so let's do something to mess about with this. So let's create a layer. Do you have any future plans on trying Solaris? Probably will. Not sure when. And the thing is, like, I'm kind of partnered with Foundry, so I do have some level of commitment to kind of commit to, or to, you know, invest my time into Katana. Because it'd be kind of uncool of me to, you know, take the software from them and then not use it. And plus, I don't really have much reason to leave Katana, to be honest, because I'm not a Houdini user. If I was a Houdini user, then it would be a no-brainer, right? It's to stay within the program. It makes it way easier. But I'm a Maya user, so I don't really have that kind of liberty, really. Okay, let's set this to plus. Okay, I'll set this to small breakup. I'll set that to like here. Would projection work with ramp? It would, yeah. I'm just trying to avoid doing too many projections. But it absolutely would. It's the way I'm doing the eyes, essentially. So scale the frequency of the noise. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so let's pick a section. Let's do like that bit there. I'm also going to change the color while I'm at it. It's a bit too saturated. Hey Dominic, how's it going, man? There we go. I think it is the state node. There we go. P. Right, okay, so state vector P. So we need to find out the position of different points in this. So if we create a cube, come on. So the bottom of the model, like complete bottom of the model, is minus 58. So let's say minus 55. And top of the model is, just say 0. Okay. So minus 55, 0. Which means we need a range. I'm going to clamp this as well. Okay. So what we want now, we want these to stay the same. Oh, no, we don't. So what do we want? We want white to be minus 55. And that should work. And we clamp that. And then to check if it's worked, let's plug that into our scatter color, which I believe is where all the colors come from, right? Yeah, scatter color. Should go from black to white. Which looks like it is doing. So if we compare this to like here. So that gets to the bottom. That looks like it's worked though. Yeah, I'd say that's worked. Okay. So we got a ramp now. Clamp. Y. Ramp. Okay. So we'll get that unplugged from there. And we want a multiply. Okay. So let's set that back to 1. What we should find is the top is not displaced and then the bottom is displaced. Technically I should multiply this as well to really strengthen the effect, but we can do that later. We can also do ranges on this to change a bias, so it's not a linear kind of displacement as it goes down, because that can look really dull and boring. I need to give this like 2 passes to clean up. So I really hope we don't have to do the exact same thing with the shirt below. Input. Let's bias this. Let's go like 0.25. And then I'm going to output max like 5. Just makes the effect even stronger. We can also move the black point further down so that the gradient doesn't start until halfway down. And we could do that by just changing the input min. Like if we set this to like 0.5, it'll bring us halfway down. Because again, like this p vector, after it's been remapped, has a value of black here, a value of white at the bottom, and it is like matched up close enough. While I'm at it, let's check what our coat volume settings are. Okay, we don't need that. In fact, we don't need that at all, do we? Because we run out as a volume. Why's that still got any settings? volumetrics. So we're going to want to change the step size, or the volume padding, but it also increases step size. It's all wrong, everything looks wrong, you have to start over. You might be right, Rahul. Yeah, maybe coats aren't clouds. Does changing the step size reduce the visible density? I'm going to increase the volume padding anyway. Let's set to 1. Now this massively increases the render times. Like, hugely increases them. Let's set like, yeah, there. Excuse me. I may need to increase the density even further. I feel like we're gonna need this noise be a little bit larger. Let's go 2.5, 0.25, 0.25. Well, not larger, sorry, smaller. Like more of them, more frequent. I'm going to set input min to 0.5 so we're not getting any displacement here. I'm going to set this to like 20 just to really crank it and see what happens. Is this inverted? Oh wait, that's going to be negative value now, isn't it? Clamp it again. I don't like doing clamps after clamps, but this is just a quick test, isn't it? So. There we go. gonna try just cranking this and see what happens. Now let's see if I can get rid of those black borders without having to do the modeling. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. And it makes sense, increasing transparent depth will also change the density. Okay, let's go to... I'm gonna need to increase the volume padding again. Let's go 5. I may need to move one of these up actually. So let's go back into here. This second range. That needs to go down, doesn't it? It's like 0.8. Maybe even 0.7. Let's try rendering that. Okay, so it's definitely displacing now. Oh wait, I'm clamping... I only want to clamp them in, don't I? Let's set that to 20. See what this looks like in comparison. What could be worth doing is removing the negative element from the displacement, so it doesn't displace in and out, it just displaces out. Then that can help us avoid the intersections we're getting with the shirt. I'll let that clean up though, because that looks like it's got some promise. Excuse me. Came out of nowhere. This is definitely too much displacement. But I am quite liking the effect it's giving. I just want to see how it cleans up. It just takes so long. Because once we've got displacement working, it's just a case of changing noise algorithms until we find one that looks like the way we want. Yeah, let's change the displacements here. That has the positive side effect of also making them weaker. I want this to be roughly half the power of the large one. And this is handling displacement strength. Let's set it to 15. And clamp that also to 15. Although, no, let's leave that at 20. There's no harm in it. I'm also going to move this a little bit down. Move this a little bit up. Still want to see how this cleans up though. Oh, actually, I do need the negative still, because it's not based on normals anymore. Okay. Yeah, because now it's just in cardinal directions, because it's actual 3D displacement. Okay, shit. Can we extract the normals in any way? Okay, yeah, we're gonna need to add that all back in. There we go. So, you down, you up. We need that as is. I will still reduce this one. Keep that the same, but I'll reduce this one to like 10. Okay, let's try that. See how this looks. One thing I'm wondering as well is, are the two noises sequential with volume displacement? So like, does the results of one affect the other, or are they both just in the same world space no matter what? To get a more painterly effect, I probably need to use the cell noise, which kind of moves things out in chunks rather than in waves like Wally does. This is producing some cool effects. Okay, let's get the volume shaders. I don't know if there's any information here that I could use. Should have mode set to vector. Huh? Why's that? Okay. So, I'm curious as to where I find this attribute, whether it has to be in an object settings thing. Probably does. I actually kind of prefer this result though. Like this has a soft fall off here. I don't know if that's a side effect of the displacement or if it's just the noise that's used. But I quite like that. So we'll see if we can find this anyway. But I have a feeling that I won't want to use it. So that's still rendering. Oh, excuse me. Alright, so let's check out the settings in here. Guess it's not in that. noise kicks in so quickly. I'm going to replace this larger one with a cells noise. See how that does. Guess we'll wait for that. Yeah, so at some point, once we've got R&D that we're happy with, we need to actually model the code properly. I think I'll commit to correct thicknesses, just because it makes the transition so much easier. Excuse me. My worry is the clothing. Right, okay, so... There we go. Okay, and then we need to invert that. Okay, range. This is just to test if it works. Make the shirt transparent where this is most displaced. This could work, potentially. And we'll avoid us having to do multiple volume pieces of clothing, which would be fucking brutal. Granted, rendering transparency on a object or subsurface is never going to be a good option either, but it might work better. Not entirely what we wanted, but it is working. See, that output max is kind of screwing me over here. Input 2. There we go. That should work a little bit better. So this is a global range. This is a used range. Clamp for artistic control. Which now we can do that. Which allows us to skip this. Sorry, kill that. Do we need that clamp? Oh, we do, yeah. The problem, so just to explain why we need the clamp, whenever you move the input max and input min, this is saying what is considered black and what is considered white. Now the problem is, this is obviously set to 0.8, which means there's still two more, like, you know, 0.9 and 1, which are still white. So this isn't clamped by default, which means that this being set to, like, let's say 0.5, means that 1 is now set to 2. This just sets the value of whatever this is. It doesn't set the actual max output. It just sets the kind of, like, usable range that you have adjusted here. Which is why I normally just adjust this or this, not both, because it gets very confusing. I prefer to break, if I'm going to use both, I prefer to break it out into a separate node to have the control. I'm going to have to do the same to the body, aren't I? To make it non-opaque at the bottom. this will take. So we can start baby stepping down the padding, because that is what will affect the render time most. I just need to find out how big this is. 5. Okay. So volume padding of 5. We technically need to do a sphere, don't we? Radius 0.25. No. It's 2.5. So basically, well, I guess if we do a radius of 5, makes it a bit simpler to work with. So from any given point, what the volume padding is doing is saying, hey, so for any given point on the surface, we pick, or we sample this area around it. So basically, if I'm not displacing it, this is incredibly wasteful, because let's say we're doing like this little part of the coat here. If I have volume padding set extremely minimal, like 1% of this, as long as it's not being displaced, that's still going to render just fine. However, once I start displacing this, it's being moved in or out or whatever direction. It's kind of random, right? So if our volume padding is too low, it can't find it, so you start getting artifacts, some of the ones that were shown on the site. If you have a volume padding set too big, you're overcompensating. So now the sample is having to do more work than it would. So typically, you want to keep this just big enough to catch like the furthest out points, which mine isn't. If it's set to 5, this is nowhere near big enough because my displacement is doing more than that. My displacement is going out to 10. So we're going to have errors related to that. I'm going to set that to 5. I'm also going to set this back to, let's try alligator. And yeah, reducing the volume padding can help quite a lot in speed, which mine was set to 5, I believe. Yep. Step size, I'm not entirely sure what it does. I think it's the amount of samples it does. Yeah, there you go. So lower step size is more samples within the volume, which I'm guessing would have a darkening effect. I'm wondering how much that's caused by switching to alligator. Let's switch back to cells. I'm also going to move the viewer to be more central. That's looking better. think I need to do a little bit of work on the clothing in the next stream. Just like the actual modelling of it. So I probably won't be streaming too long today because I do still feel a little bit off. Like, perfect timing. Like, I feel, it's weird. I feel healthy now, but I've got that really annoying cough. So I think talking for hours on end might not be the best. Let's save that out. Okay, so let's get rid of the prune. So we need to do a render. Yeah, so something I need to chat to the Foundry about actually. So off stream, obviously I worked quite heavily on the eyes, getting projection set up. I think there's something about my setup that Katana does not like, because my renders, when I render the eyes, currently have a 50% chance of failing. And when I say failing, I mean just like, it just exits out, it crashes Arnold entirely. Literally all I get is an exit error, I don't even get like an error that I can use to debug. So, this will take a few minutes, but yeah, we'll see how that kind of goes. Are there any questions? Because I'm probably going to end the stream in a few minutes, but if there's any questions, I can answer them, whether it's about eye setups or whether it's about this guy or what I've been doing the last 2 months. Such a cool image. Eye caustics are wild, like this stuff. Oh, it worked this time. Nice. Yeah, this might take a while. But yeah, cool. Well, I'm going to end the stream there then. Next stream, we will get the surface element of the coat rendering, just so we can kind of, well, obviously we'll have to fix up this stuff as well, but we'll get the surface element of it rendering and blending with a volume version. And then we can start looking into a bit more work on the face, getting that looking where we want. And yeah, we'll just keep going from there. Yeah, anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be streaming again tomorrow, possibly even later today, just because it is only the morning now, but I just need to give my voice a rest throughout the days. But yeah, cool. Alright, well, enjoy the rest of your night. Bye.